Hi, this is Dr. Whipple. Welcome back to English 150 Section R and 150 Section W. It's good to see you. I've been enjoying immensely reading your comments and reading your papers. Right now, I'm in the middle of reading paper number 1. My plan is to return your paper number 1's commented to you before you turn in project number 2. And I'm going to be talking about project number 2 in just a little bit. But I'm working on project number 1. I have a couple of things I'd like to tell you about project number 1. The first thing is you're going to need to go to Blue Line 2 and look up your paper. You will find both a grade and a comment. What you need to focus on is the comment. I've given each of you a grade of 1. That's 1 point. Not because your paper is that grade, because, as you'll remember from the syllabus, I don't grade first papers. Or I do not grade the first versions of your 5 papers. What I grade is the final portfolio at the end of the semester. The only reason I've given you a grade of 1 point is so that that grade and that comment will actually register in Blue Line 2. So that's a mere technicality. Don't worry about it. It's not a real grade. What you need to focus on is the comments because, as I said, I don't grade papers. I simply put comments on them. So that's that point. Point number 2 is I've read a lot of the papers and I've seen a lot of very creative activities. I've seen people using great dialogue and telling stories and putting me really in the middle of the action. I've seen people blow off the entire first traditional intro paragraph and start in the middle of things. I think that's fine. As I asked you to do, I asked you to try new things, try to mediate stuff. A lot of you actually, I'm suggesting that you put in some pictures in your paper to illustrate what you're talking about. I think that would be just fine. One person, and that person knows who that person is, did a Prezi for paper number 1. That's a new kind of presentation software, kind of like, but not exactly like a PowerPoint. That person did a very good job. You're going to see the comments when you read your paper, that person. But for all of you, you're going to get a comment, for most of you, you're going to get a comment saying, tell me the stories. And I want you to tell me specific, exact narratives. For most of you, you're doing a nice job telling me that you have a literacy and what those literacies are, and you're telling me how you do those literacies, and that's fine. But what I'm looking for is something that will make the literacy live and be real to the reader. And what that's going to do, what can make that happen is when you tell a specific story of when you had a particular experience with that particular literacy. For example, a volleyball game. Tell us a story of a particular volleyball game that you won, or maybe that you didn't win. Tell us with your dramatic language, with all of your powers of persuasion and poetry and drama, the thrill of victory, or the agony of defeat, perhaps, okay? If you're a skateboarder, tell us what it's like. Tell us about the first time you were on a skateboard. We got a pretty good skateboard story in paper number 1 as well in section R. If you're a photographer, tell us about a time that you took a particular photograph, okay? What we're looking about is not a hypothetical, but an actual real time that you did something, and for you to narrate and tell us that experience. What you're doing in this paper is a lot of stuff, actually. You're practicing and exercising your descriptive skills. You're exercising your just general sentence level skills, but you're also exercising your narrative skills. And folks, believe me, narrative skills and being able to tell a story succinctly, but to make it really feel real for a reader, that's going to come in very helpful. It's going to come in very helpful in business. It's going to come in very helpful in social sciences. For those of you who are going on to health sciences, it's going to be really helpful when you do diagnosis write-ups and prognosis charts. It's going to be very helpful to just every one of you in your later life. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to tell a story. Well, yeah, but you have to tell stories all the time, and you're going to have to keep on telling them after you graduate from college too. Now's the time to hone and perfect that skill. So tell us the stories. Thanks. That's the point I want to make about paper number 1. Paper number 2 is going to ask you to mediate yourself. And if you read the assignment on the blog, you're going to see that it asks you to use primarily non-textual means. That means you're going to have to find a way to express yourself, or more specifically, express one limited point about one of your literacies in a non-textual way. Now, one of your literacies, it can be one of the literacies you talk about in paper number 1, or it can be a literacy you've been thinking about, or just any other of your literacies, but it has to be a literacy, okay? In fact, it can be your reading and writing literacy, which I asked you not to focus on so much in paper 1, but you can focus on it in this paper, okay? But how do you mediate that literacy? How do you mediate yourself? How do you represent yourself in a way that's primarily, and by this I mean more than 50% not text? Well, people do a lot of things. I've gotten statues, I mean, styrofoam statues. I've gotten lots of different things. What I want you to do, you can obviously can make a video like I'm doing right now. Is this textual? No, this is completely digital. So you can make a video with your webcam, or have somebody point a camera at you and do that. You can take pictures and send me a series of pictures. You can paste those pictures in a Microsoft Word document. You can do a PowerPoint. You can do a Prezi if you want to try that. You can do an audio recording. I've had audio recordings before. If you want to record a piece of music, as long as I can understand what you're singing, that's fine. Okay. So these are some of the ideas that I want you to consider. If you haven't started it, start engaging in this project right now, because since it's not traditionally textual, it may take you a little bit more time to get started on this project than it might for another project. Okay? Thank you very much. If you have any questions, my email is whipple, W-H-I-P-P-L-E, @creighton.edu. And for right now, I'll just sign off, and I'll see you on the internet. Bye-bye.